So I try to be, with trying to, create some kind of self-strategies that they're going to look at, something after each lesson where they're going to look at their project in some way, and they're going to be making evaluations and judgments about their own work before I evaluate it. And then they'll turn it in and I will evaluate it. Anybody have any thoughts or questions or anything?
Talk to him.
Quiet.
This is a quiet group of dance.
Okay.
But can you think of any ways that I know your wheels get turning in there. What are some ways that you could use that in your classroom? What could you be teaching that you might use some of this art? Social studies? Like what?
Maybe it could be art history.
Mm-hmm.
Different cultures do different things.
That's right.
They make different things.
And when you incorporate this art in there, it makes your curriculum come alive to the students. They will remember what you're teaching a lot more than if you just do the lessons out of the book. You remember that when you were in school. The problem is many teachers have kind of let that go by the wayside, when really, like Mr. Groff said, if we can turn on both sides of the brain, we will get a whole lot more response out of them by incorporating these things.
Definitely true. You'll find out when you get started teaching that you yourself will get bored sometimes. And you just for your own sake have to say, we got to do this in a creative way. We got to do this somehow different. So, search for these things. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you a bunch of ways you can connect to your curriculum. The next thing on here that I was going to deal with was how I evaluate, which I'm not sure what number or what that is. It's assessing skills, techniques, okay, creativity. And for me, with my evaluations, you see that on there? Let's see.
Yes, it's the second one.
I'm not going to the right one. Sorry.
It's on the front page, the second bullet. Mm-hmm.
I try to do a lot of demonstrations of things, for one thing. Because it is art, I want to know, can they really do this thing? Not just answer it on a piece of paper, but can they actually perform it? And sometimes it's quite simple. And this would be an example, too, that you could use in the classroom. You could use these kind of simple demonstrations. So we did a unit with third grade on geometric shapes, which you're going to do when you teach regular classroom. And you may not do freeform, but you'll still do geometric, and you can still use this kind of technique. I do freeform and geometric. Freeform being shapes that have curves, okay? That do not have defined shapes to them. So after I taught my unit, I had them come up to my desk, I take all these and I just scramble them, and I say, make a pile over here freeform, and a pile over here of geometric. And then they sort them. And I take a grade on that. I mark whether they can. They know that because they're demonstrating to me right in front of me whether they can or they know. I will sometimes have them come up and draw me a picture. Like I could have the kindergartners, I could have them come up to me, since we're doing the policeman, and I could say, draw a tree and make a fence behind the tree for me. And then I could evaluate whether they could overlap or not, or whether they put the fence under the tree, because that's what they would tend to do. They find empty spaces. So you could do it in a lot of, and to have a child come up and do this, I can do that in 30 seconds. Because while that child's sorting them, and I'll have my computer over here, and after they get them sorted, I'll be able to mark in, I'll have the next child coming. And within a space of a very short amount of time while they're in there, I can do a quick little test with just sort of a hands-on type thing.
And do you know what that's called? What kind of assessment is that? Starts with an A. Yes, it is authentic assessment. Now he could give them a worksheet and have them categorize which one are geometric shapes, which one are freeform. But what's the best assessment? The authentic. And that's where you're going to get your true picture of what, I hope you don't mind me interjecting.
Oh, no.
That's where you're going to get your true picture of what a child can or cannot do.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Because I'm right now tutoring at school, and I have, in the morning, I have 7 kids who are all third graders. And we have been working every day on measuring to the nearest half inch. And then we come to class this week, and we were doing a landscape, and I had them draw their horizontal line for the horizon, and I had them measure over on the horizon 7.5 inches, and I demonstrated it on the board, had them do it, and make a mark 7.5 inches. That was going to be their vanishing point for the little river we were going to make. And then up in the sky, on the right-hand side, I had them measure 5.5 inches over, and then that was going to be where their sun was going to be, or moon, or whatever they wanted to put. And they're going to be creative with it. I just wanted to have those two measurements, because I'm trying to work with measurement. Pulled them in, and those same kids that I had them tutoring still couldn't do it. When it came to actually applying it to something, on the test paper, they could, because it had like a worm, and it showed how long the worm was, and you had to tell according to the... But when it came to actually measuring, they couldn't do it. I was really frustrated with that. But I have to go back and just keep reinforcing it, because it takes many times for it to sink in, for a lot of the kids. So again, that would be authentic assessment to me, where I'm actually having them do something and then I check it. Now I do have tests. 5th grade takes a big test at the end of the year that covers all of our elements and some things from the county as well. So I use that kind of assessment. But for me, I have a lot of product assessment, because they do produce things, and so on the backs of their papers I will mark, and I use each assessment that they do will have 4 or 5 skills that I'm trying to teach them. And so then I will mark on the back how they've done on each of those individual skills. Sometimes it's verbal. I will do verbal types of assessments that come up and explain to me, summarize something for me that I've taught in your own words. What does this mean? And a lot of times with that, because I am short on time, I'll take out a board and I'll go up to them like this and whisper in my ear, I want you to put it in your own words, what does this mean? And so I will do assessment in that way. I have to do things very rapidly. You're going to find shortage of time is a big factor. So you have to figure out ways to do it quickly. Any thoughts or ideas on that you have? And you guys, now in your classrooms, are you guys actually teaching lessons, or are you just observing and helping right now? Or
I've been teaching.
you are teaching? So you've given some assessments?
Yeah.
Have you done any where they've had to actually demonstrate? It wasn't a pencil and paper, but it was some other form? No? You can see it's kind of predominantly become just pencil and paper because of testing. But real life isn't really pencil and paper very often. It's being able to apply stuff. So.
It's true.
Okay, let's see. Let's go to... All right, let's talk about that cross curriculum. And as we talk about it, we'll probably see we can incorporate some of the things on styles and works of art and thing. And I brought works of art. I brought a bunch of things to just talk to you about how I do cross curriculum, because I really like to do a lot of that, trying to incorporate it. So I'll go and start with kindergarten again.